Hello class, I wanted to give you a tutorial on using HTML5 audio and video tags and embedded YouTube tags with Dreamweaver. So what I have here is a site for you that I've given you the link to. It has a video that's embedded with the HTML5 tag, the new HTML5 tag. It's just a progressive download, which means basically that it's going to start playing while it's still downloading, but many times if the video is long, it's going to stop and wait to download over and over again till it gets a little bit ahead of itself. So it's as opposed to streaming, where you make that streaming connection and then it does not stop, it buffers the video. So that's a progressive download. That's kind of the difference in just putting a video on your site versus YouTube, where that's a streaming technology. The second one on here is just a MP3 file. It's just a Christmas tree, the full MP3. And then here's the embedded YouTube video that just plays from our channel. Okay, so one thing that is very important to mention here is that the HTML5, these tags are new, so they're not 100% supported right now. Of course, they will be as the technology gets a little bit older. But the problem is that there's a copyright issue with MPEG files and MP3 files and Firefox. So Firefox will not display the MP3 or the MPEG. You have to give it alternative file types to display. So that's why when you go into the code, you'll see some different file types. At least I think I added those in here. Yeah, you'll see some different file types that may or may not work depending on the version of the browser you have. But anyway, I wanted to give this to you because it is an interesting way to display video, and it's will eventually be the standard, I think, for displaying audio and video on your page. I still recommend YouTube if you want to display video. I think that's by far the best way to put video into your website. Now let's talk about where the code comes from. If I go to, let's see, if you go to w3schools.com, this is not built into Dreamweaver, and then go to Learn HTML5, scroll down to HTML Media on the left, and then you'll see HTML Audio and Video. So let's look briefly at each of these. If you scroll down, you'll find some code on here. So example right here, audio controls, and then you've got source src. That's really all the code that it takes to display an MP3 file on there. Okay, let's go back and check out the video. Now the video tag, it's pretty similar. You can see right here, this actually has an extra one at the top with the SWF. Let me scroll down a little bit just to get the normal one. So here's the normal one. You've got a width and a height on there. You've got controls. That's pretty obvious what that does. And then you've got three file types on here, and then an alternative in case this your video does not display. You'll get that line that says your browser does not support the video tag. Okay, so what you would do is you would highlight this code, and you could just simply copy it. And let's come over to Dreamweaver here. Here's the site, and then if I go into the code, here's the code. Okay, this only has the MPEG in it, but all I would have to do is just paste that code in there. Now if you look over here on the right hand side at my website, my folder, it's just a folder called Audio Video. Very important that you have the file types in it. So I've got the MP4, this M4V you don't need in this particular case, the MP4, the OGV file, and the WEBM file, and then the MP3 file. So you need those to exist in your folder. I'll show you where I got these other file types in a second, and also I'll show you where I get the MP4 file. But you need those file types in your folder, and then all you have to do is link to them. So it's really pretty simple. If you want to use my example, just go back to the site, right click, and then view page source, and you can get my code on there. And I'll come back to the YouTube in just a second. Okay, so let me talk about iMovie. Now there are a lot of different video programs out there. I'm just using iMovie in this case. I also use Final Cut Pro, and then there's Adobe Premiere. There's a company called Avid, and they make some high-end software. They also make some consumer grade called Pinnacle, which is really inexpensive. So you can get into video editing and shooting for very little money these days. The hard part is making something that's good. But if you want to just do your own video, I mean, point and shoot cameras will do HD video, like this one that you're looking at right here. I just shot that with a little $100 Panasonic, you know, HD video. Looks good when it's outside, not as good in low light. So what I did here, I just took some of this video here, just highlighted a section of it, dragged and dropped it up into my timeline here. So I've got this little video. I'm not going to attempt to teach you iMovie. It is really easy to use. It's designed for anybody to be able to pick it up in a couple hours, really. So and it comes free with all new Macintosh computers. If you're on the Windows side, you know, you may have like that Windows Movie Maker, or you may have to purchase a cheap one. For the Pinnacle video editing software, I mean, you're talking like $40 or $50 to get into that, which would be as good as iMovie. So there's a lot of alternatives out there to iMovie, or if you're on a Mac, you know, this is a good one to use. Final Cut Pro is actually kind of similar to this now since they redesigned it, Final Cut Pro 10. But anyway, not trying to show you how to use these programs, just showing you that it's really simple. All I did was shot some video with my digital camera. It has an SD card in it. Plugged the SD card into the computer, went to File, and Import from Camera, or Import Media, and then drop that in here, and then I just dragged and dropped into the timeline, and I can start assembling my video. Okay, then I went to Share, and you have a lot of options here. You can go directly to YouTube or Facebook. You can go also using QuickTime or Export Movie. So I went to using QuickTime, Export using QuickTime, and then here's where you get the MPEG. Here's all these different settings you can choose. You know, you've got the iPod, iPhone, QuickTime regular.mov, and then here's the MPEG file. Okay, so I just saved that, and I saved it in my folder, and that's it. So that's all there is to it as far as actually creating an MPEG file. You do have to have some kind of video editing software though, or you could use QuickTime. The actual QuickTime program will do that for you as well, but it's not an editing program. Okay. So I'll hide iMovie, and then the other thing I'll show you really quickly here is here's one extension that Firefox has. I switched over to Firefox if you were looking at it closely before. I was demonstrating in Chrome. But if you're using Firefox and you want to use extensions, this one's called Firefog, and it just allows you to encode existing video and audio in a format that should be supported by Firefox. But there are alternative programs out there to this. All you'd have to do is install the plugin or install the add-in in Firefox. You can go to that firefog.org if you get this far. This is just showing you how you could do it. You don't have to do this. And then you can do make web video, and then you basically just select a file here and then choose probably choose your MPEG format, because that's what you're going to convert. These other file types are pretty efficient. They're even smaller in file size than this. And then you check the format that you would like to encode to. So interesting little plug-in right there that will help you convert to different file formats. Other thing that I'll mention here is the file, or the physical size of the movie is pretty important. So let me hide Firefox. Let me go back to iMovie really quickly. If I went to Share and let's say I did YouTube. Okay, this gives you some sizes to choose from. So for example, a good size for your website is 640 by 360. So that's just a number you could write down, and that's what you would put in your code in your HTML file. So that's where that 640 by 360 comes in. Okay, last thing here, let's talk about YouTube. So let's say that you want to embed a video on a site. Now, you can embed any of your videos that you upload to YouTube if you create a channel, and you can usually embed other people's videos if they have enabled that option, which is the share option. So if you see the share button right here, if I click that and I scroll down, this gives me some more options. So I would usually I would do embed right here. So click the embed tag and then choose your size. There's that 640 by 360 size. You can do a custom width, you could do a huge one. If you don't want those suggestions, sometimes those suggestions are weird, you guys have probably seen, but if you don't want those suggestions, click that, and then you just highlight, copy that, come back over to Dreamweaver, and then here's that code right down at the bottom, that iframe code. And then if you look at that, back over here in the site, that's the embedded YouTube. So I would, as far as just kind of summarizing this tutorial, because I'm going to wrap it up here, if you're going to create your own video, feel free to ask me about that, because I have a lot of experience with digital video editing, production, and web file formats. But you do need some type of a simple video editing program. You need a camera, which could even just be a point and shoot camera or a full HD camcorder. They're really, really cheap now. You're talking $100 to get you a decent camera. If you're doing anything professional, you may spend more than that, but you can do some really nice videos with the cheap cameras now. Software may come free with your computer, like iMovie, or you may spend $50 or $100 and buy some video editing software. And then I would invest in, not invest, but I would probably recommend uploading to YouTube for your videos. You can also embed, as I've demonstrated here. But the YouTube is streaming, and of course it gives you that platform where you can promote and share your videos that you don't have just by dropping a video into your website. Also gives you tracking, so you can tell who's looking at your video and where in the world they're looking at it. So 3 different example files here. You've got the HTML5 video, the audio tag, and the YouTube embed code. In Dreamweaver, we're working a little more with the code here, just copying and pasting the existing code in, changing it. Got to make sure you have your file formats, your right file format into your folder. I created the MP4 file from iMovie. The MP3 file I just got from iTunes. I probably don't need to talk about how you get an MP3 file. So I got the MP4 file from iMovie, and then I used that little converter over here, this little add-on in Firefox, and converted that. So anyway, that's it for this tutorial. Hope that you have enjoyed looking into HTML5 and YouTube audio and video tags.